So this video we're going to be going over the Season 5 Reloaded patch notes. Now, there is a lack of content with the Season 5 Reloaded update. We're missing weapons and all that kind of stuff, but there is a lot when it comes down to weapon changes. So if you enjoy weapon stat breakdowns, weapon comparisons, and overall tips and tricks for Warzone, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel. We do post extra content over there as well. But like I said, we're going to go over all the patch notes for today's update, and if you want to see what the actual changes are and the weapon comparisons with all the stats, then make sure you subscribe, because we will be comparing all the stats for these weapons and making videos after this one. So this one's just going to go over the actual patch notes itself. So as you can see, we've got the September 8th update. We can see all of what we're going to get when it comes to playlist updates. So we can pretty much go through all of this, but that's kind of just wasting some time because no one really cares too much. As long as they still have Rebirth in there all the time, which is pretty good, and they have they need to put buybacks in here in my opinion as a constant playlist, but they didn't do that either. So they've got Rebirth constantly in the playlist as quads, and then they've got standard modes, and then this Iron Trials game mode, which I'm not too sure what it is. Events, they've got the number event, which I'm not really too sure exactly what it is, but again, I'm not really too bothered. Modes, they've got Clash game mode, which is an epic 50v50, which is kind of similar to the other 50v50 game mode, but this time you get armor and you get buybacks and cash stations. So I don't really know what this game mode's going to be like, but we'll see how it comes about. They've got Iron Trials, which is in-season stuff, again, which is altered health, removal of loadout drops, new gulag rules, all that kind of stuff. And what kind of interests me a lot with this game mode here is that they removed stopping power and dead silence, so they couldn't just do that in the game originally just for the base game mode anyway. I don't know why they've done that, but basically they've made this more like a true battle royale experience without any loadout drops, which means obviously no perks. And they've adjusted the health and all that kind of thing as well. So basically they've made it like a true loadout, a true battle royale experience with this game mode, which might be quite interesting, especially with these kind of adjustments right here, like removing stopping power and dead silence, which I think they should just do anyway. Maps, broadcast stations, red doors is not going to really do anything. Let's see, so gameplay, they've got new gulag loadouts, pre-match loadouts, so obviously that's going to be ground loot fixes and stuff like that. They've got a whole bunch of bug fixes right here as well. So here's all the stuff everyone wants to know about, and that is the weapon changes. So the new weapons are the Psy melee weapons, which are going to be coming to the game. There's no actual gun weapon coming with this update, but we've got a whole bunch of weapon adjustments. So this is going to be like a whole bunch of new guns, let's be honest. So when it comes to some of the weapons now, for the assault rifle, the C58, they increased the recoil in this gun. Now, obviously, everyone said that this gun outputs a ton of damage and it has a good TTK, so they've now increased the recoil on the weapon. They did say it was only slightly, so not a lot. The EM2, they just fixed the positioning of the base optic when it comes to like the alignment of it, so that is something that needed fixed, so they have sorted that out now. Now when it comes to Assault Rifle Bravo, now what they've changed here is actually the FAL. So the FAL, upper torso multiplier, has been decreased from 1.1 to 1. I feel like this is just an adjustment to kind of compensate for everything else that's going on, because this gun would be really good once all these other changes take place. But I don't really think anyone really used the FAL that much. Plus, I feel like they are changing all this multiplier stuff to make it basically consistent TTKs across every weapon. It's just a change that they're making now. Then we've got the Groza. The sprint to fire speed has been increased by 15%. Not really going to make this gun usable at all, because the recoil is still crazy for a long range weapon, so it's not really going to help all that much. This is not going to change this weapon or how many people use it. Then we've got one of the major changes here. So we've got the KRIG, and with the KRIG they've got a maximum damage decrease from 30 to 29. A mid damage is now 25, which I believe it's 26 just now, and then the minimum damage has been decreased from 25 down to 23. The weapon kick is adjusted as well, which means that they've actually reduced the recoil on this weapon a little bit if you read inside this box here. But I feel like they've pretty much decreased TTK of this weapon overall, so it's going to be really, really slow when you try to kill someone. But when it comes to landing your shots, you will be able to land every single shot with this gun. And I think that's what this weapon was supposed to be originally, a low damage, low recoil weapon. So we'll need to see how this works out, but it is a significant change to the overall damage profile, and we will be comparing this in a future video later on today. LMGs, so we've got the light machine gun alpha from Black Ops Cold War, which is going to be the stoner, I believe. The recoil has been increased slightly, but I feel like they need to adjust that optic, that 4x optic. That is the main issue with the stoner. If you use the 3x optic, it's a pretty balanced gun in my opinion. So I think the only issue with this is that the 4x optic is broken, but regardless, they have increased the recoil of the stoner. Tac rifles overall, oh wait, tac rifle Charlie, which is got to be this one here, the AUG, is now actually had a recoil reduction, so it's going to make this gun way more viable. This actually might make this gun feel a bit more usable at long range, and tac rifles could come back into the meta when it comes to Warzone, because in terms of damage output, they're actually now pretty good because of the overall TTK increase. But we'll need to see, but that is a reduction to the AUG's recoil. The DMR had its recoil adjusted, so instead of a recoil reduction or increase or whatever it is, as you can see here, they've just reworked the whole recoil for the DMR. So what I believe they might have done here is just made it a straight upwards recoil pattern. If they haven't just done that on it, then it's going to be a lot more difficult to control than whatever it was before. But I think that's what they're going to do with this gun, just to make it a lot easier to control with its pattern. And the kind of amount of recoil in the DMR wasn't that bad. It's just the kind of recoil pattern in my opinion. Then the M16 is going to have a weapon kick decrease as well. So similar to the recoil reduction on the tac rifle, which is the AUG, they're going to do the exact same thing here. So just making the tac rifles overall more viable. Then we've got the Type 63, which has basically made this no longer an SMG anymore. So headshot multipliers being decreased, neck multipliers being decreased, upper torso decreased, lower torso decreased. But they've also reduced the recoil or the weapon kick, if you want to call it. So what this means is this gun's going to be more viable at long range, less viable at close range, which is obviously supposed to be what this weapon's all about. Submachine guns, we've got the MP5 from Modern Warfare, and they have reduced the maximum damage of those 30 round mags from 34 down to 31, so that is a good change. Then we've got the OTS-9, so maximum damage range is being decreased by 6.2%. Not enough to make this gun not viable anymore. I don't think that's not going to change too much, because once you stack on all the attachments, it maybe made that to about 10 meters of a damage drop off for the first damage drop off anyway, and that will probably bring this down to maybe like maximum 8 meters. So if that is the case, this gun will still be really viable as a close range weapon, and I still think everyone will use this. Then we've got the PPSH, weapon kick has been adjusted, ADS sway has been adjusted, and I think it's because the bullets, there's a lot of side-to-side bounce to this gun, so I do think that they're going to make this gun a lot less in terms of recoil or weapon kick, whatever they want to call it, which is exactly what they've stated here. So they're just reducing the recoil on the PPSH to make sure you're landing more shots, get consistent TTKs across the board. Recoil adjusted on the Swiss, so we have improved the firing recoil behavior on the Swiss, and this is to make it a little bit better. So the Swiss is already a really good gun, so they've made the recoil better on this weapon, so that's just going to make this gun just way better overall. Then we've got the ZRG, and I'm not really too sure what they mean by recoil adjusted on this one, because they just said similar to the Swiss, they want to make it feel and sound like the baddest sniper in Verdansk, but the thing is, for it to do that, you'd probably want to increase the recoil on the gun. So I'm not too sure if they increased or decreased the recoil. They should really specify with the ZRG, so I'm not really too sure. But we will go in and test all this, by the way, anyway. Then for barrels, they have adjusted some attachments as well. So we've got the assault rifle barrel, so the Ranger barrel, the vertical recoil has been decreased from 10% to 8%, so that's not going to help as much as before. The reinforced contour barrel is going to have a decrease as well for vertical and horizontal recoil control. And then it's going to be the same for the takedown barrel as well, and the same for the task force build spec, whatever you want to call the final barrel. So basically overall you're going to get a little bit more recoil on every single one of your Cold War weapons. So I feel like this is going to impact guns like C58 significantly, because they've already increased the recoil. Now it's going to be increased even more. Then we've got guns like the EM2 that has insane recoil. Now it's going to have a little bit more recoil too. So that is something you definitely keep an eye on with your Cold War guns. With LMGs, they're doing a very similar thing. So match grade and task force barrels have had a less of an impact on recoil now. Again, this is going to impact the stoner a little bit more because they already made the stoners recoil really bad. So now they're going to make it even worse with this attachment. TAC rifles are going to have a titanium barrel adjustment as well for the DMR. So the damage range decrease from 25 to 20, fire rate increase has been reduced from 16.7 down to 15. That's not going to change too much, to be fair. I don't really think this is going to change much at all, to be completely honest. Rear grips for assault rifles, the Groza, the Serpent grip, has an ADS speed reduced from 9 to 7%. So this is again just making sure this gun is more like an assault rifle and less like an SMG. Then we've got some new operators and all that kind of stuff, which is just going to be in the store, and that is pretty much it. And it's going to be quite a small update. So there we have it. If you've enjoyed this video and learned something new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. And we will be breaking down the stats of all of this in future videos later on today. And make sure you subscribe to our second channel, and thank you very much for watching.